well, now you've eliminated at least 50% of the couches that you might like.
Right.
And you know that it's not an option anyway. So you can, your pool of options gets smaller, making your decision process a little easier. So, and then the next step on that front would be, when you start looking for the furniture. So I normally start online before I start going in store. Then when you find something you like, go back into your floor plan and actually change the size of the furniture to the exact size of the pieces that you're finding. And then you can really make sure that everything fits perfectly. It feels proportionate. It's not too tight. And then you can feel really good about spending that money and not, making a mistake down the line.
Awesome. I'm kind of feeling like I'm up one because the first two mistakes, I definitely have committed those crimes. And so I felt like I was down two, but now I'm finally feeling up one because I have
redeeming. I have
not committed this crime yet.
That's amazing. And I'm sure, like, for you, you've staged many homes and you've had so much experience on this front that you just it's like ingrained in your brain.
Well, it's funny.
It really does hurt my heart to see, people spend money and not realize, a significant amount of money on something that just doesn't fit or doesn't fit in the door. That's another one that you want to make sure of. Make sure it gets in your house.
Absolutely. I find that's actually what I usually tell clients after they purchase a place is don't buy too much furniture before they actually move into the space. Mm-hmm. Because I find if people are not living in the space, they tend to overbuy and buy too much stuff. And so I always tell people, you know what, sure, you can buy like a couple of pieces, but for the majority of everything, just wait till you actually get the space and then start buying because you'll have a better sense of the size.
I agree. And that's kind of another thing as far as like really planning the project, like that we talked about before. Like sometimes what you think you're going to do in a room and how you're going to live and want to use the space is, one way when you first move in. Like this has happened to me time and time again. Like you have these ideas of, I'm going to do this in this space and we're going to have friends over and we're going to play board games at this table down in the basement. Never once happened. Good thing I bought that table that I never used. Even I'm guilty of this stuff sometimes. But yeah, living in the space for a while allows you to really understand, the house, the things that you're dealing with, the light, everything, all the, the way the floors creak, whatever it is, and the way you actually want to walk through the space. So I definitely agree. It's always good to take the time to kind of feel out the home and actually understand how you want to actually use each of the rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. So what's our fourth mistake to avoid?
All right. Design trend 4 is buying the whole set of anything. So whether you're buying that dining set, whether you're buying the living room set, just don't buy the set. And I actually have a client right now who's like, well, can we get the matching chair? And it's, okay, you can get the matching chair. That's not a completely ridiculous thought, but it's just like an obvious thing to do. And it doesn't feel personal. And it doesn't feel like it's been a curated room. Like most people want to live in a house that maybe looks like it's in a magazine, maybe more livable than what you see in a magazine, but you want it to feel like a designer came in and actually pulled the space together. And designers don't generally go buy an entire set of anything. So what you want to do is really just find that one main piece. So in your bedroom, maybe the main piece is your bed. Don't buy those matching side tables, even though deep down you feel like it's the right thing to do.
Hold on, back up. Because, I was going to ask you about this. So you're telling me that you can buy the bed frame, but don't buy the matching dresser or the matching nightstand?
That is what I'm saying.
Really?
I am saying that it's kind of, what I think it's kind of like when you go to the mall. Maybe it's not like this, but this is kind of what I picture it as. I feel like furniture sets are kind of like outfits on mannequins where it's for people who just don't. I think it's great for people who don't know what to do, but it's not what, if a stylist went into, Holt Renfrew, they probably wouldn't get their client an outfit that's right on the mannequin. They're going to really customize an outfit based on the client's style, their personality, all of this stuff.
Right.
So what you want to do is really kind of find that key piece and then find elements that work with it. And so they don't match per se, but they work with the other piece. So what happens is when you're buying an entire set of something, it means everything normally is like wood. So you have a bed that's wood, a side table that's wood, and then a dresser that's wood. So great design is really blending different textures, different elements, different, whether it's scale, proportion, all of this stuff. So I think when it comes to somebody's home and it's like their actual home that they're going to live in, I think like maybe when you're staging a home, it might be a little bit different.
Right.
But when you're trying to create a space that's very personal to one individual person, it's nice to really blend different pieces together that really can speak for themselves as well and not just be kind of like part of a set.
So what
to
about
me, like, that is a no.
So what about a dining room table then?
Dining room, I would probably 1% of the time I would buy a dining room table set. I would buy a dining room table, and then I would normally I try to find a chair that has some sort of contrasting element to it. Something that feels, again, like curated and not just like I purchased an entire set from somewhere.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of, the only place maybe I would buy a set maybe is my patio furniture.
Okay.
I think that's one of those times like maybe I would buy the entire set. And if I'm being honest, I totally did. So yeah, no, I would feel very confident to say that 99% of the time I would never ever source an entire set for a client. Wow. And I think that's kind of what makes, like, when you're, that's really what makes a space curated. I think that's the difference between just furnishing your home and like really designing a home and curating a space to have personality.
Right.
Yeah. Well, see, we're learning things today.
I know. I'm learning lots. I'm like,
I
really?
actually like that. I like that one shocked you. Yeah, I think that's great. So clearly, it's. I would say that's probably another. So now maybe you're 3 for 1. Are we at 3 and 1 now?
Well,
3 design crimes that you've committed. 1.
Well, it's funny. No, actually, I'm still good. Although I didn't realize it was a crime not to buy the matching set, I actually haven't done it. I bought a new dining room set last year. And I bought the table, I bought the bench that went with it, but then I ran around town looking for chairs that I preferred. And it wasn't because I realized it was something I should do. I just didn't like the chairs that it came with. So I just didn't want them and thought, I'll just buy my own chairs. But yeah, so far we're good. So far I've committed 2 of the crimes. 2 of the crimes I haven't committed. Yes. But one of them I didn't know was a crime.
This is good.
So what's the 5th crime?
Now you know.
Yeah, exactly.
The 5th crime is not having a statement piece. So we could call it a statement piece or a conversation piece, something personality piece, whatever you want to call it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go crazy and have something that's just so like over the top, out of control in your home. Like, right. It's really about, again, designing your home, creating your home is about making it a space that's really about you, and it's very personal to you. So you need to make sure it's got to make sense based on you and your personality. So if you're the type of person that wants like a taxidermy moose head in your living room, that makes sense, then do it. Go for it. If you are not that person, then find something that is interesting, that is a statement, that has personality, that people, are going to be drawn to and maybe have asked you about, and it also makes you smile and just kind of makes you happy to have it in the room.
Right.
So an example for me would be, it's not like this crazy, like over the top piece, but in our dining / reading, listening to music nook, we have this, big, bold red chair. So that's kind of like, it just, both my partner and I, that's another thing. Whenever you can find something that both you and your partner can agree on, you got to nab that up quickly because that is far and few between. But we both loved it, and it's a piece that every time anybody comes in, everybody always comments on it, and because it's bold, it's red, it's like very there. So it's just finding something really interesting that's not necessarily that chair from West Elm. Maybe it's a vintage piece. Maybe it's like a big zebra print on your wall, or, a zebra rug, whatever it is, something that makes you happy, something that really is you, and something that kind of makes people go, hey, love that rug. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
So not a lot of people bring in something that kind of makes people go, hey, I like that.
Yeah.
So it could be even just like a turquoise couch.
Yeah, and I would say that I don't have a piece like that. I don't think I feel like I have a statement piece anywhere in my house. I think my kitchen is a statement piece, which isn't furniture.
Ooh, I like it.
Other than that, I don't really have statement pieces, I think, at all.
And I think it is one of those things that it doesn't have to happen right away, because I don't think you should force it either. So one day you might kind of stumble upon something that really speaks to you, and then that will end up being some sort of statement piece that you end up putting on your wall or whatever, you're like a rug, whatever it is. So I would also like advise people to not, force it upon themselves, but make sure, when you find something that just really speaks to you, pick it up. And even another thing I kind of on the same front is a lot of people always ask other people's opinions. Like,
right.
Hey, what do you think of this art? Well, you know what? What do you think? It's your home. It should be what you love.
Right.
Who cares what other people think? Like Dave and I have these ridiculous, this is like a random raccoon print and this random cat because we just thought they were hilarious. And you think for a second, and then it's like, I don't care. This is my home. It makes me smile. We both loved it. Again, we nabbed it up because we were both into it.
Right.
But who cares? You know what? It's you. And I think people think, that's totally something Dave and Michelle would put on their walls. And it makes sense. So just don't worry too much either about what other people think. If you love it, go for it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That is great advice. I have learned a lot today about 5 mistakes.
I love it.
Design crimes.
And so we're not saying you haven't made a mistake, I would say, for number 5. I think you just haven't found your statement piece yet.
Yes, exactly.
/ your kitchen is also a statement.
Yes.
So I feel like you've done, you've got only 2 out of the 3 crimes. I think you're doing pretty good for yourself.
That sounds good. Someday I'll have to have you over so you can see for yourself what I'm talking about.
Yes, I'm very intrigued. I'm going to look away from your curtains, though.
Yeah. Well, that's only in my spare bedroom.
Pretend I don't see them.
I just won't let you see them.
That's right. There you go.
Too funny. Well, thanks so much, Michelle. This has been very interesting. I have learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. How can listeners get in touch with you? How can they reach you and find you?
Sure. So if people want to learn a little more about me or how we can work together, you can go to michellebinette.com. I also post lots of tips and inspiration. So again, it's just michellebinette.com. And you can also join my Facebook group at dreamhomies.com. You can request access. And it's basically just a group of people who are giving each other advice. So if you have any questions, maybe you're trying to hang your curtain rod and you don't know if it's too tight to the trim or if it's the right height, then you can post it in there. And I always responding to any questions people have. And a lot of people have a lot of feedback too. So it's a great space.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Michelle. It's been great having you on the podcast, and we'll have to have you back in another month so I can learn some more.
I love it. That sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Michelle. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and you can find me at devel@bosleyrealestate.com or at Twitter at Devel Morrison or on Instagram at Devel Morrison. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Morrison Report. Hosted by Devel Morrison, sales representative for Bosley Real Estate Limited Brokerage, real estate investor and best-selling author, bringing you insights on the Toronto real estate market. Join us for another podcast.